Welcome to a North Central IPM Center Pests in Progress series. My name is Laura Isles. I'm one of the co-directors of the North Central IPM Center. We're one of 4 regional IPM centers supported by USDA NIFA Crop Protection Pest Management Regional Coordination Program, coordinating IPM across the region. Today, I'm really excited to welcome Mandy Bish from the University of Missouri, who's going to talk about the amazing IPM program there in Missouri, and I'll let you take it away, Mandy.
Okay, thank you, Laura, and thanks for having me today. Again, as Laura said, my name is Mandy Bish. I'm an assistant professor in crop pathology at the University of Missouri, and I also coordinate our integrated pest management program, which is sponsored by a USDA NIFA award as shown here. And today I want to talk a little bit about our work this last year, and a lot of our focus has been on how can we better share our IPM messages. So we have a lot of good researchers at the University of Missouri, and sometimes it's that last step, the communicating the results, the building the relationships that maybe we're not always the best at least in our group. And so we've been spending a lot of time and effort working on getting those messages about integrated pest management out. And if you're not familiar with Missouri, I just want to highlight we are a little unique. We have an area where we grow a lot of row crops, and that is that green area up in the top here. And then down in this yellow region, which we call the Boot Heel, these counties down here. And then we have the Ozarks that run through. So a lot of mountains, a lot of pastures, not good growing ground. And that's in some of the red here. And then on our western side, it's a little bit drier than the rest of the state. So we are growing row crops there, but a little drier area. Sometimes we grow the corn for silage as opposed to go to yield. And another thing that is very interesting about the state is that we have these two major rivers. So you can kind of see part of the Mississippi River, which borders the eastern side of the state. And then we have the Missouri River that just cuts through the state. And I mentioned those rivers because we do see a lot of diseases mainly around those two areas where you have these waterways. And just to touch on our integrated pest management needs in Missouri. So we have over 95,000 farms, which is exciting, but we also have very diverse cropping systems here in the state. So we are top 10 in the production of these major crops: corn, soybean, forage, rice, and cotton. But we also have specialty crops grown in nearly 90% of our counties. And so, as you can see, each of those has unique needs with regards to integrated pest management, and we really have to think about how we go about trying to move the needle forward in all the areas that we have expertise in, as opposed to just focusing on one. And so that's how we pick our priority areas that are funded. And right here's a breakdown of the priority areas that we are funding at the University of Missouri right now. So about 54% of our resources goes into agronomic and specialty crops, and I'll talk about each of these in a minute. And then 32% into pest diagnostic facilities and 14% into pesticide applicator education. We're very fortunate to have a very excited and enthusiastic pesticide safety education program coordinator here. So in the agronomic and specialty crops, what we've done this round is we've provided 3 extension training assistantships for grad students. We currently have a graduate student in weed science, a graduate student with a research project in pathology, and a grad student with a research project in entomology. And these extension training assistantships give these students experience in communicating their results. So they each have research-based projects in pest management, and they're communicating their results because we think it's important for our next generation of IPM specialists to be able to communicate effectively. We've also expanded our pest monitoring network this time. So we are currently, I believe, have 14 different locations across the state that are trapping for about 8 different insect pests. And I think in Missouri, we're kind of at that interface where we get some of the southern pests and diseases and we get some of the northern. So having those trapping networks across the state can really help us see what's going on, not only at a state level, but help our colleagues in the north and the south kind of see it move up or move down in Missouri. We collaborate on crop protection network efforts when possible or when it is helpful. And we're working to establish presence at produce auctions. So I mentioned we have specialty crops in 90% of our counties. We also have issues with internet in Missouri. And so having a presence that's not virtual becomes pretty important. And a lot of these produce auctions also have Amish and Mennonite producers going to them. So we have 2 produce auctions that we're going to this year with posters on some IPM issues that I will share later. And then also assessing IPM needs. We have some growing farming demographics and just trying to assess IPM needs there so that, again, we can work on our communication of solutions to address those IPM needs. For our pest diagnostic facility, this has been an exciting area for us. Sample submissions exceeded 1,000 last year for the first time, and they have a 2-person full-time team, so it keeps them pretty busy. We also, as part of our IPM project, launched our text alert system. So if something comes into the diagnostic clinic, we can send out a text alert. And then they were also awarded a smaller North Central IPM grant that works together with our IPM grant to further increase, like they kind of complement each other, to increase our foothold on these communication efforts, especially with producer auctions or specialty crop auctions. And then finally, in that third area, really focusing on the Endangered Species Act and just being sure to help our PSEP coordinators update our commercial applicators and update our farmers and crop advisors in the state on what the latest is with each of these areas, whether it be herbicide, insecticide, or fungicide. Okay, so to the person that kind of helps us keep all of these efforts going and moving forward, we have a media producer who is part of the program. And when I say media producer, if you're a pathologist like me, you go to lab media prep, but that's not what I mean. I'm not meaning we're not making Petri dishes with agar in them. We have a content creator on our team that really helps push the needle forward on all of those efforts. He helps with internal communications by hosting weekly teleconferences for our state extension specialist and our regional, we call them regional extension specialists in Missouri, so that everybody's on the same page with regards to problems going on in the state. And it's a good way for us to touch base. You can see here we have our weed scientist. We have, if you look really far in the back, our plant diagnostician is on the weekly calls. Our PSEP coordinator is on the calls. And then we have several people also throughout the state who are working on pest management related issues, and it gives us a chance to come together once a week. So our media producer's in charge of those calls. We do it both for agronomy, we do it on the horticulture, specialty crop production, and we even do it for forages as well, which I'm not going to talk a lot about here, but is a very important part of Missouri and their pest management needs. Almost all of our information is compiled onto our IPM website, which I have the link at the end. It's ipm.missouri.edu. And I mentioned the pest monitoring earlier. So we have about 12 pests that we trap for, and end users can either receive an email saying that the pest was caught at thresholds for scouting, or they can come to the website where we have this map updated weekly and as the season's going on. And then we house electronic newsletters that are written by our state extension specialist. These are also pushed out through email, but can be accessed here. And so these are, again, efforts that our media producer is doing to help us get our research data out to the public. And we've tried to simplify our subscription process, and it is working. So I mentioned that the Plant Diagnostic Clinic, we launched a text alert system, and people can come to our IPM website to sign up for that text alert system. We also have the same page they can sign up for our 3 different newsletters, again, working on communication to different audiences, not just one particular audience. So we have the Crop and Pest News, which focuses on row crops mainly, and pastures as well. And then Environment and Garden is targeted more towards our homeowners. And the Produce Growers Bulletin is for our specialty crop producers. And also we have a fair amount of vineyards in the state that I did not mention in that beginning, but it's an increasing, wine is an increasing industry in Missouri. And again, our end users can select, if they are interested in the pest monitoring alerts, they can get all the alerts or specific alerts by region. So some of the other areas where we are, again, using our media producer skills to really help us get the science out is on our university websites. So He is a graphic designer by trade, and this is one example of the Weed Science website that he just updated here. It's a little bit messy down there, but he can give it a look that is, he is our target audience, so he can give it a look that is going to resonate with our target audience, essentially. We also maintain an YouTube page, MU Extension Integrated Pest Management, and we have videos that are, I guess, timeless. They've been on there a long time and they still do well. And then we also have videos that are weekly in-season videos that are produced by some of our field specialists that cover IPM topics each week, and those are posted here as well. Finally, the YouTube channel allows us the opportunity, again, for those extension training fellows that I mentioned at the beginning. One of their things that they have to do or get to do, is they film a YouTube video about their research project, and then it's housed on our Extension Integrated Pest Management channel. So they get the chance to film it, to do retakes, to do some funny outtakes, but just get that experience, and they can work with our media producer and really how to edit it, how to produce it, how to talk well, how to block out the wind, all of those kind of things that we kind of struggle with sometimes when we're beginning to learn how to do videos. So in the specialty crop area, again, really trying to get the word out that we have these tools. Again, it's a communication thing. Can we get people to see that we have a pest diagnostic clinic, a plant diagnostic clinic where they can take samples? And can we help them understand the biology of some of the pests of their specialty crops and how to manage those pests? And so this is a busy slide, but it's an example of one poster that our extension specialists have made this year, and they are taking to, again, vegetable production auctions. A lot of times there are the Mennonite and Amish communities there. And again, we just have a lot of people in the state who don't have access to internet at their house. So this helps there as well. And in addition to reaching these audiences, which can be challenging to reach, we mail a hard copy bulletin of one of our electronic newsletters, that Missouri Produce Growers Bulletin, about 3 to 4 times a year, in addition to the electronic copies that go out to people who obviously do have the internet access. So just in summary, I just kind of want to go over by the numbers because I've talked about a lot, but again, it really comes back to that. Can we push our information out better, more efficiently, and in a way that will resonate with the users who need to adopt it? And so these are just some of the numbers from the last year. We have 3 graduate students. We see them as future IPM specialists, training them on extension communication, using their research projects as what they are conveying. They're trying to convey their research results. We have 316 specialty crop producers who we mail out our hard copy of the Missouri Produce Growers Bulletin to this year. We sent out 2 bulletins. We're finishing up a 3rd. These are the subscribers for our 3 newsletters. As I mentioned before, they each reach a different audience with information that pertains to pest management. So we have 1,670 subscribers for Mizzou Crop and Pest News, and our most popular one is the Missouri Environment and Garden for Homeowners, and you can see those numbers there. We get about 250,000 website page views a year on the ipm.missouri.edu website. And I said about 250 because I think it was at 245 last time I checked, so I expect that to be a conservative amount by the time we get to the end of the year. We have our text alert system that I mentioned. Yep. And we have 408 text alert subscribers so far. We try not to spam. We only send messages out when we feel it's very necessary. And then we continue to have a growing YouTube subscriber list. So we put out 36 videos this year. We have about 4,580 YouTube subscribers currently. We also are reaching out again. We have growing farming communities where we don't know the IPM needs. So reaching out to those communities and trying to identify needs. We have a in-person garden hour that I mentioned. So those are in-person live webinars that are also posted on our YouTube channel, again, to provide further communication opportunities. And so we had 721 live views of the garden hour with MU Extension, and that's going to really go back to those homeowners and communication with them on pest management related questions. As I mentioned earlier, we had over 1,000 samples submitted to the Plant Diagnostic Clinic in 2024, and conservatively, we engaged about 400 farmers and agriculture professionals with the ESA Endangered Species Act information and about 1,000 pesticide applicators this year. So I think it's an exciting time for us, and we're moving the needle forward on many different fronts and trying to cover a lot of ground with regards to our pest management needs in Missouri. And with that, we do have a lot of ways that we're trying to keep access open. So we have our text alert system that I mentioned. We also we allow the grad students to run the Mizzou Ag Pest Detectives until they post something that doesn't work, letting them get experience in how to use those platforms for work. We have our IPM YouTube channel, and then Twitter and Facebook, obviously, and our website. So with that, I just thank you for your time and the opportunity to highlight the University of Missouri's IPM efforts.
Thank you so much, Mandy. That was a great summary of what you've been doing in the past few years. It sounds really exciting.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.